does he have traffic control yet? So we know it's
I
too.
don't know the answer, but I can find out.
Okay.
For you. I don't believe we've had that pre-con. I know we've had it for the widening.
Okay, because we're just all curious. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Kelly many times stood here and said, it's going to be a mess, it's going to be traffic, and so we all are anticipating that. We've been warned it is, but when it's finished and we have the sound barrier wall, the walking path behind it,
Mm-hmm.
the roundabouts, it's really going to enhance Diamond Head as well as the additional lane down I-10. So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
can't thank MDOT enough. You all are doing amazing work. Thank you. Any questions to my left?
Yeah, on the widening,
Mhm.
where is it going to actually start? Is it going to start at exit 16 going eastward, or is it going to start?
I'm anticipating they're probably going to start at the western end here, down in Diamond Head, and work back to the east with the widening portion. They probably also will start at the east end with the bridge widening at the Wolf River and work the bridges back this way. So it's really kind of up to the contractor, but because of the sound wall and their access to get to that area to build that, that's how I anticipate they were going to work it. They're going to want to get the widening done in this area so they can shift the traffic to the median and have an extra lane to the outside to work on that sound wall.
Billy,
And
can I pause you one moment?
Mhm.
I just received a text that the online streaming went out.
It did. It's going in and out. It's the internet, but it says excellent condition now, and it's back on.
Okay, thank you.
I did want to share one bit of information about the sound wall that might have been previously said otherwise. We are going to save every tree we can. We are only going to cut the
Excellent.
ones that are necessary to construct the wall. We want to try to keep as much of that vegetation there as possible.
Yes, that's excellent news. Okay. Any other questions to my left? Any questions to my right? Excellent job, MDOT. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Mr.
next,
Owens.
we have
Thank you.
Coon Branch, Hilo Project, and Turnberry. Are all these three together, are we going to be doing?
I'm handling the first two.
Coon Branch will be by the city manager.
Yes, the engineer has to be at other council meetings, so since this is still in a very much preliminary stage, I figured I could kind of give you a brief overview of what he has provided. So far, this is all we have is the one picture. So you can see we're starting into, let me see if I can get this pointer to work. That's all right. In this area is the idea. Oh, that works. Starting in this area, there are two proposed detention ponds that may or may not be needed as we work on this project. The entire idea is to get this water flowing out this way to actual Coon Branch itself. The property owners have all been notified, and we're trying to get rights of entry started on all of these people. Getting a lot of questions back of, what are you doing, what are you doing? Unfortunately, right now, we still just are not sure. I believe, if I'm not mistaken from the engineer, he's already done all the surveying, so it's starting to do the design work and figure out what needs to be done and what will have to be done. I've had several residents say, well, I've already fixed my drainage in my backyard, and if that's the case, we'll get to your property and then skip over to the next guy who needs to keep this water moving. The detention ponds are not 100%. They're just our discussion as of right now. This is actually Manaloa Gardens, so I don't know that we can actually put a detention pond there, but we may be able to slow that water down in that area. It's kind of what we're looking at. Then as we get the water into this canal and this ditch over here in the far eastern portion of Diamond Head, we're looking at working all these regions here and getting this water moving. This is that cell tower, and then out towards Capilama and going back where Dollar General is and under that bridge. That's sort of the overall scope of where we're trying to make this water go. Some of that's going to require a little help with Hancock County once we kind of get it up to this area. It's kind of outside the city limits, so Hancock County is going to have to help get it further and over to the rest of where it needs to go. As of right now, of course, we have no idea if we'll need any additional easements in these properties. Just simply, as I've said, just rights of entry is what we've asked for currently. to get these access to these properties. And then we'll look at, some of this is going to be in front of the houses, meaning it'll be driveway culverts and ditches in the front yards, landscape culverts possibly. But a lot of it is between, as you can see, it's in between the backs of their houses, so it's going to be, unfortunately, fences and other things in the backyards of these people that we'll have to address and deal with, sort of like we're doing on these other projects that we have throughout Diamond Head. So that's kind of the overall idea of what the Coon Branch Drainage Project is right now. This has been funded through Go Mesa grant, and he'll continue working on and getting the design plans put together, and we'll come back hopefully in the next few months for the 60% project to show you guys where we are and what the actual overall layout is going to be for these projects. Any questions? Don't know that I have answers, but
We'll start down there with Councilman Marr.
Yeah, so with these, I presume that, especially in the backyards, these are going to be brand-new ditches that were never there in the past, is that correct?
some of them are, yes, sir, but there are some. I actually visited a resident the other day, and the water itself has just made a ditch in his backyard completely. So as far as in that situation, we would be looking at trying to get it back into our easement so that it's going where it properly needs to go. Some others, yes, they already have ditches in their backyards, and that we will just be upgrading, fixing the side slopes, making it stable so that the water stays within the ditch and not erode away the bank stabilization, similar to what we're doing in other areas in Diamond.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, do you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
We just threw you to the wolves,
That's
didn't
right, I
we?
was
We're
about to
like,
say.
go
Okay.
ahead. What
So, those are all open ditches, correct?
It would be, but some of that may be, like I said, landscape culverts in the front yards of some of these residents that would have to be addressed and either replaced or pulled out. And if it's any driveway culverts, those would all be cut out, replaced with whatever size culverts we need to put in there, and new driveway installed.
Okay, I'm gonna skip me. I'll be last.
Yep.
Councilman Finley? Councilwoman Lisa? Councilman Cumberland?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to say we've been working on this project for many, many years, and we were very fortunate to get the Go Mesa funding. And we've got a lot of funding that we've gotten over the past few years that we do need to get moving on spending. I
Certainly.
know we've been reminded that we have a lot of money, so getting this one moving, and I hope we're a lot further.
Unfortunately, that's what he gave me just
Okay.
a month ago, or no, last month, unfortunately.
Have they done
I
this,
kind of
the
expected it to be
topo
a lot
yet?
further.
Who are they? What
This
engineer?
is Kenichi Engineering that's
Okay.
doing this one.
So Kenichi's working on this. So do we know if the topo's been done, the surveying?
This is all he's provided for me. I don't really know.
Okay, all right, that's all.
w-
Until I see topo.
I wish he could have been here, but unfortunately, like I said,
No,
he
that's
has to be at
okay.
Bay St. Louis's meeting.
All right, well, let's
We
move
all
on
have one
to Hilo project.
Okay?
And who do we have up for that?
I'll do that one as well. Machado Patano is the engineer on this project. There are 4 sites that we're working on in this area. Sites A, B, C, and D. On site A, the existing area has a 24-inch pipe that goes over or goes under Hilo Way. So that will be, go ahead. That will be replaced with new concrete head wall and a 36-inch pipe to go across on the outfall. Oop, go back. There we go. On the outfall, there'll be riprap to stabilize that ditch. Already have spoken to the property owner that lives right there and would like to see his driveway more stabilized because it erodes his driveway property already. So I've already spoken to the engineer, and he will pull that riprap out further to kind of help all of that and provide stabilization to that entire area. So that 36-inch will hopefully help move the water that accumulates in that area and get it moving on past. All right, Site B. All right, Site B is, starts at Maui Circle, going down Cocoa Place and then onto Cocoa Drive, I believe it is, or Street. So right there at Maui Circle, there's an 18-inch pipe that goes underneath the road there. And then it's open ditch in between the property owners from Maui Circle down to Cocoa Place intersection. That's a 24-inch pipe going across there. Then open ditch again until you get to the driveway for the gentleman there in that one house, and that is a 24-inch pipe going underneath his driveway. And then he has a landscape culvert / really another driveway culvert that he uses to access his backyard. And then going across the road diagonally there is a 24-inch landscape culvert and a 15-inch, I'm sorry, not a landscape culvert, 24-inch culvert, and then a 15-inch pipe going, east to west, maybe we'll say it on that way, for that whole area. So the proposal from Machado Patano is, go ahead, next page, is to look at a detention area right on at the where Maui Circle is. I believe, and I can't remember when speaking to the engineer, but I believe that's going to be really considered a dry detention area. It'll just be a place when it rains, it'll hold the water there and then slowly drain out. So it'll stay dry for most of the time. Replace the culvert under that under the road on Maui Circle with a new 36-inch pipe and a head wall there. Then replace the driveway culvert with a 36-inch pipe as well, and create a concrete head wall. On these plans, he shows open ditch going in between the properties from Maui Circle to Cocoa Place. And that would be, stabilizing, getting the side slopes and everything correct on that. And then open ditch from that gentleman's driveway all the way down to Diamond Head Drive. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's Hilo Street. But as I told the engineer as well, the gentleman has that additional landscape culvert or driveway culvert, whatever you want to call it, to get to his backyard. So he'll include that in as another 36-inch pipe to account for that, so the gentleman can still access his backyard. And then removing that 24-inch and 15-inch pipe that goes there and then replacing it with a new 36-inch pipe to go from, I'll say, east to west again so that you can see that. And then riprap on both the north or east and west sides to allow for the water to get to the existing pipes that are there, so that the water has a place to go without causing erosion and getting down and then across the street is where it's all got to go at some point in time. All right, the next one is Site C. This one starts close to Hilo Way, going behind. That is a lift station there by the Water and Sewer Department. Open ditch across through that property there till it gets to a, you want to say it's a 36-inch pipe that goes underneath the, no, I'm sorry, it's a 30-inch pipe that goes underneath the golf cart path there. And then it's an open ditch across the golf course itself. It's got riprap and so forth in there. If you've ever played the course, you'll see to let the water slow down there. And then once it gets across, it goes into a 36-inch pipe through the woods and then all the way out across Hapuna Place and across that area. The issue I have with that one is it really actually goes across that property owner's driveway, and it really needs to somehow get back to our easement instead of going under his driveway. So we're going to have to try to figure out if there's a better way to make that water or where that water can go. All right. Currently, his proposal is, next page, is to create a detention pond on the far left side where that 36-inch pipe comes in to hold that water. It'll be back behind the lift station that's there. And then the 30-inch pipe that goes under the golf cart path will be replaced with a 36-inch pipe with new head wall on both ends. And then the open ditch will remain across the golf course. Pulling up the 36-inch pipe that's there in kind of the wooded area there to replace it with an open ditch, so it's just a continuous, and then another detention area to catch that water when it gets into that. And we actually own that lot there already as the city of Diamond Head, so that's a good place we can catch the water and hold it there. And then from there, it would be a 36-inch pipe with additional outfall riprap to catch that water. Again, like I say, it does go underneath that gentleman's driveway, so that's something the engineer is looking at to see if there's some better way to get that water to, and a better place for that water to go instead of under his driveway, but instead into an easement. Last one is Site D, and currently there's a 27-inch culvert that goes underneath Diamond Head Drive East, and that would be replaced with a new 44-inch pipe, head wall on both sides, and riprap in the outfall to ditch to catch that water. Also, in the center of Diamond Head Drive East, there is a catch basin there that would be replaced to catch the water that collects in the median there as well. And that's it.
That catch basin is in deplorable condition. All right, let's start with Councilman Marr.
I'm good.
Councilman Clark?
So when they're replacing these culverts on Hilo Way, everywhere else, on Maui Circle, it's one way.
Correct.
So how long will it take to replace that culvert? And then you have Kiko. You have,
Correct.
what, 5 or 6 houses right there at the end of the cul-de-sac that's going to be cut off from going anywhere in and out.
That's correct.
And then, where else? Yeah, Street and Place and Maui Circle.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
all of those.
And then
yeah.
Hilo Way.
Right.
Everything's going to be cut up on the
Everything,
on
that
the
is
road.
correct. People are the contractor's gonna have to keep at least one lane open so people have a way to get in or out. Or as far as in Maui Circle, some way to get the traffic moving back and forth on a daily basis as needed. How they're gonna do that is gonna be between the engineer and the contractor figuring that part out. But at some point, there will still have to be access made available to them. It could be unfortunate the road's closed and for Maui Circle, you have to come in from the north side if you need to get to the houses over there or come in from the, only come in from the north side. It's unfortunate, but it's progress and what we're doing to make this better at some point in time. The Site A project, the idea is to close one side of the Hilo and then divert the traffic around on a daily basis and then open it back up at night, I believe was what the engineer designed for that one. And as much of that as we can do.
Councilman Finley?
Good.
Council Member Lisi?
I'm good, thank you.
Councilman Cumberland?
John, the one that you said that was going underneath the gentleman's driveway,
Yeah.
so you had 2 slides for that one?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that just downstream from the project that we'd already done in Hilo Way?
No, I don't believe so.
That's where that big
Because
box culvert is that goes
yeah,
underneath?
E was kind of around a little bit further of Maui Circle. I mean, it's all kind of in the same area for sure, but
Okay. I was just wondering if it was going to help relieve some of that issues
gotcha.
that we are currently having, if that's been discussed.
right. Same engineer did that project as well, so
Yeah.
I will discuss that with him and see.
That's all.
Maui Circle, I saw the little retention pond. Where's that outfall? Did he show where the overflow was going? Because I didn't see where it was
That goes
discharging.
underneath Maui Circle.
The discharge goes underneath Mary's,
Yes.
the overflow
So it's
discharge?
it's really more, I guess, of a collection pond more than a detention pond. It's catching all the water coming from Maui Circle. Because Maui Circle sort of has a crown to it. So half of it goes off to one side to that, the big pond that's there on city property. And the other half is coming underneath that culvert and going under the road there. So this would kind of catch it, send it in that new pipe that we would put there, and then, like I said, as it dries out or as it quits raining, it'll dry out itself.
The discharge on Diamond Head East where it's outfalling, that
Yes.
catch basin, I don't even know if you can call it a catch basin in the median. It's been
Right.
in dire need of repair for the longest. That outfall ditch is really deep currently.
Right.
So what are they doing? Have they mentioned stabilization on that yet?
They didn't. They stopped it right as it got across the road there, and then just some riprap to stabilize right where the water comes out. I have tried to speak with the property owner there to see if they would be willing to donate that land to the city, or that lot to the city, and allow us to be able to clean that ditch all the way out, and then have a lane to maintain it. So I'm still
It-
waiting to hear back from them if they'll
It
agree to that.
definitely needs to be maintained. Okay, that's all the questions on that one. Turnberry?
For Turnberry, I have Andrew and Sarah here from Covington Engineering, and they will present this one to us.
Printouts, this is awesome. The small things in life that make people happy, that can't see far away.
Good evening. Wanted to give an update on our bank stabilization projects. I'm gonna go through that, and then Sarah's gonna go through and talk about our Turnberry project. I guess that's getting back going. So anyway, we started this project. We've got two areas mainly around Drainage Basin A. That is Montjoy Creek from Diamond Head Drive to Calipacona, to the south and east on your drawing, on your map there. Kiko up towards the north and east portion, and then Mahalahuli. Can we go back? There we go. And then, okay, so we can see basically what we've got here is all of the pink parcels are whole parcels that we'll need, and then all of the tan parcels are parcels that require easements. So what we've done to determine that, we established a grade line from high point to low point being the bridge at Diamond Head Drive, and then from there we just did all our grading work to determine where that easement would need to go. On one side, you can see on, if you switch pages there, probably, if you got the handouts, that red line is basically our road, so to speak, for maintenance, future maintenance, and we've got our access points identified. This area on the west side is a little bit less developed and more accessible for maintenance, as we look on our area to the east side with Hannah Place out to the north, and then Diamond Head Drive to the east. There's a lot more developments there. Access is going to be from a variety of different locations. So all told, we have a need for 95 different parcels that are going to require easements, and then 17 whole parcels that we're looking for. So we're going to have a variety of solutions on this. We'll look at some vegetative restoration with pretty much hydroseed, different application rates for different side slopes. That's probably going to be our cheapest solution here. Riprap as needed. An erosion control blanket. Manufacturer says we can get side slopes up to 1-to-1, so that's going to be beneficial. Articulating block that has a little bit more staying power than some of those vegetative approaches. Manufacturer again says 1-to-1 on these, so we'll be looking at that for a solution. We will have some instances, it looks like, that we're going to have more or less a vertical condition on those side slopes, so we're just looking at options at this point. Gabion baskets would be one of them. They occupy a lot of space that's pretty much unusable once they're in place, and they're heavy, so we're looking at some different solutions. This is one of the ones I was kind of thinking about, where it's sheet piles and struts and slabs and basically creating a vertical wall. But what our next steps will be finalizing our plats, moving into that acquisition phase. While doing that, we'll be analyzing costs, basically unit prices per foot constructed for each one of these stabilization options. And then with our grading that we've already done, we could just say, 100 feet of this or 600 feet of that, and get down to overall budgets and cost for the project. Any questions?
All right, Councilman Marr?
I know you don't have cost yet, but I mean, ballpark, how much you thinking this project is going to be running the city?
I'm not sure on that.
I mean,
We,
this sounds like something that would need multiple grants.
yeah, ideally, like I said, the vegetative stabilization will be the most economical. We'll employ that at every opportunity. I know like that articulating block, a lot of contractors like it. It's a little bit easier to manage, to get in and out. It's not so much weight, but I know I talked to a vendor earlier this week and he said that's about $10 a square foot. So you can see how that could really add up. So I think it just kind of depends on what that final design looks like, but we'll know a whole lot more next time for overall costs.
Okay.
Councilman Clark?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Finley?
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Lisi?
Just a quick question. Okay, how many, 95
90,
easements?
95 parcels.
And have y'all started that process?
I have not started that process. We were getting the letter finalized, but we will start that. And just to say, is 17, is that what you said? Whole parcels?
Yes, 17 whole parcels.
17 whole parcels. I believe all but 2 of those are either owned by the city or for sale POA. So we'll only have 2 property owners that we'll have to try to get to sell us the entire lot. But other than that, the rest of them should, I say easy, but hopefully will be easier to obtain through those vendors or those companies.
Hopefully so. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, yes, thanks. Sorry.
Andrew, this is the area behind Comey, right? And it goes into
Yes,
Cal-
yes, some of this
that
is behind
big-
Comey, yep,
Big
that's
ditch
right.
back there.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I know we have a lot of problems in Comey, so this should be a big improvement, right? This is,
Yeah, well, Comey's got a couple issues. It's low in elevation, and then the roadside drainage on the low side is pretty much all closed in with landscape culverts. So we have a different project to address pretty much the roadside and get all that drainage to these natural drainage ways that are in the bank stabilization project. So we're handling Comey through our other project.
okay. Will this help with some of the issues with aerial water lines and sewer lines going through that ditch?
Certainly, as we're going through there, we're going to doing bank protection and securing all of those exposed utilities to prevent any problems in the future.
Nice. That's all I have.
Is there any work included in this for restoring the Calipacona Pond?
No, we were actually, the Comey project that we were just mentioning, we've got a couple ponds that we're looking at and trying to figure out which one's got most bang for our buck. It looks like the Calipacona is that one. So we're going to look at some improvements through that Comey project.
Because we've got a resident that lives on the pond that has been having serious issues, I know, for 2 years because of the silt being built up and her property's washing away. So we need to look at the Calipacone property owners going around the pond.
Do you know which parcel that is?
Miss Molly's house.
South side?
Yes, I'll give you the address.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll send it to John.
Hello, I'm Sarah McClellan with Covington, and I am here to talk to you today about the Turnberry Drainage Improvement Project. So, the Turnberry Drainage Improvement Project includes 3 main road intersections: Mahanahooley, Turnberry Drive, and Turnberry Way. It also includes the improvements and dredge to the Turnberry Pond and the ditch improvements between Turnberry Drive and Turnberry Way. This is Mahanahooley. Our recommendation is to replace the undersized concrete box culvert that is currently there. It's a 5x7, and we are looking at installing a 6x14 to help improve the drainage flow. At Turnberry Pond, we are recommending right now to dredge at least 3 feet and also widen the pond around 3,700 square feet. This will help with the aesthetics as well as with drainage issues in this area. We're also looking to remove the bridge that's there at the mouth of the pond. That will help with maintenance and being able to maintain with sediment issues in the future. As you can also see at Turnberry Drive, we are looking at removing the existing box culvert. It's a 5x6 and replacing it with also a 6x14 here. Moving upstream to the ditch between Turnberry Drive and Turnberry Way. We are looking to reshape and regrade this existing channel to remove the high spots and improve the drainage flow to be positive in this area. It should be noted that we are not realigning the ditch. We're just maintaining the existing ditch as it is. It can be kind of confusing because the existing easement in this area is not where the actual ditch is. So we are having to look at obtaining some parcels in this area to get the easement where the ditch actually is located. But we're looking to have a 4-foot wide bottom for this typical ditch section. We're also looking to remove the existing pipe at Turnberry Way, which was a 36-inch RCP, and we're going to install two 48-inch RCPs to help with the drainage. And that's the majority of the scope of this project. Do you guys have any questions?
I just thought of one. Councilman Marr?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Clark?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Finley?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Member Lisi?
Just a quick question.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you remove the bridge, then how will that work for golfers? Or how are they?
We talked to the POA and they were good with that idea. I guess the thought is that they can just go around a different way that I don't think it's very used right
The
now
rear.
as it is. Oh, it goes over the
It
weir,
goes
I'm
over the
sorry.
weir now.
The what?
It goes
Mhm.
over the weir. There's
Right.
a path there. So they'll still have that. They
Oh,
just
they'll
won't have
still
the
have that.
wooden bridge.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that was my confusion. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Cumberland?
I don't have a question, but thank y'all for doing this.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the presentation.
Glad to be here.
My question is, so we're replacing the box culvert under Turnberry Way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've had issues through the years, so I'm so happy this project, we've been working on it for many years, is finally getting done. The pond right there at Turnberry
Mm-hmm.
is really, you know, we did work on the spillway. We did work. The spillway is improved tremendously, it is. So now you can drive over it, and it's not slimy, and for 50 years it was. The pond does not hold water now, which looks horrible. Is that going to be corrected in this?
Yes, that's why we're dredging it. We're going to dredge
Okay.
it at least 3 feet deeper. That way it's
I didn't
holding
hear
at
that
least 3
part.
feet
Okay.
of. Yeah, we're dredging it 3 feet and then also widening it. We're going to widen around the mouth of the pond to make it look more like a pond.
Okay, and you're
Yes.
going to, okay, that's a good thing, because that needed to be done.
Mhm.
And the ditch is running along the rear of the homes. I know I've walked it down Turnberry. They do not align with the easement, and they're
They do
every
not.
which. Are you doing any stabilization there? Because some of those are very close, and one of them is really eroding behind a gentleman's home.
So we're going to regrade, reshape the ditch, and then put in a 2.5 to 1 side slope. So that should help prevent, erosion on the side slope. So that's the goal.
Okay, well, this is exciting. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, it's very well done.
All right, now if we could have some lights. City managers report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just some updates on our other projects that we currently have going on. The Park 10 Road project is still scheduled to end on June the 1st. The electrical conduit is being installed down the new roadside, and the roadbed has been formed, and they're now working up towards the Park 10 lanes. If you've been over there, unfortunately, it's down to one lane. The right side's closed as they're working on that side, and it's a little bit of a trouble to get to the water and sewer district, but it's just progress, and hopefully sooner or later we'll get that all straightened back out and everybody can get there without any trouble. The Noma Drive restoration project, the contractor is still has to connect the multimodal path area to finish up their portion of the project and to stripe the road itself. So those are the only two things left. The contract is currently 195 days and it ends March 24th. So we may have to get another extension on that project so that for time so that he can get finished. He's kind of being held up a little bit by the contractor on the Park 10 road. Two of them have to kind of work together and get that area ready for him to get his job done. So either he'll be done before the next or after the next council meeting, or we'll have an extension to that contract on the next meeting. Bowview 2, we held a pre-construction meeting with the contractor and engineer on site and discussed the project. There were some questions that the contractor brought up about the ditch and how to address the project as it was. So the engineer was addressing those and getting back to the contractor, and they have agreed upon what changes they wanted to make. And so we're waiting on the contract or the engineer to get the drawings put together for that. And then we're should get a notice to proceed issued here very soon. Bond paving project, we are complete with that project, substantial completion. I believe the contract or the engineers issuing that for tomorrow, which is the end of the contract time. We have a final walkthrough scheduled for Friday and to establish a punch list. We have a few issues here and there, and we'll drive the entire road to determine any others. The Montjoy Creek met with the engineer and reviewed the comments that were given to us and determined what the city's responses were. The engineer sent those responses back to DMR and DMR and MDAH, and we finalized the design of the project so we can move that one forward hopefully once we get approval back from DMR and MDAH, which they didn't feel like any of the comments were negative in and of itself. Noma Drive Phase 1B, those bids are still under review by the engineer, and so we'll wait a little bit longer to get that one awarded. And the project was to build a parking area, rebuild the boat ramp, and to build a kayak launch and pier, as well as a conference station down there in that at the end of Noma. Kaliki Way, that project's on the agenda tonight for approval. The city has been unable to acquire one easement on Aiki Drive. I've had discussions with the engineering firm, and they can make the necessary adjustments if we are unable to get that one additional easement that we need to make that project still work. The project's going to start more from the other end of this of where this easement is. So the engineer said we probably have another 4 to 6 months to try to get that to obtain that easement. So we'll keep working on that property owner and see if we can get that taken care of. Bayou Drive, we issued a notice of award and waiting on contracts and bonds and everything back, which the engineer provided to me probably 30 minutes ago. So we finally have those, so we'll set up a pre-construction or meeting and then issue a notice to proceed on that project. The canal dredging, the city's got its permit from USACE and to allow us to dredge the canal. The Restore team is reviewing the plans and specs right now that we've provided to them, and once approved, a grant agreement will be issued to the city. Looking still at about another 2 to 4 months, unfortunately, to finish or to get this project started. But hopefully, once we do, we'll come out with a very beautiful project down there on the canals. Diamond Head Lakes Road, not a city project, but the contractor mobilized starting yesterday. If any of you went over that way, you would have seen where they've already started saw cutting the roadway of what they're going to remove, and material's been delivered and is on site. So hopefully that project will get started. We'll see some work done on that. The weather kind of probably delayed them a little bit more today and yesterday. So, but they'll get that one going, and we'll see that the entire road rebuilt and in a much better shape once we're finished, or once they're finished. The Noma Drive Boardwalk, the engineer's working on the drawing still on that project. All easements have been recorded, and MDEQ is going through its final steps with the Mississippi TIG getting everything approved, and we'll be in touch very soon, hopefully, with a sub-award for us. But that one's a very exciting project. We can get that one going here very soon. MDOT talked about the two projects, the roundabout project and the interstate widening project. And all I want to say as far as that goes is that behind that sound wall barrier is that multimodal walking path, and we will be the only city in the state of Mississippi to actually have that multimodal walking path behind that sound wall barrier. So that's an exciting addition for the city to have that added feature for us. The detention ponds, the engineer's still working on those. The 2 ponds that we have left in that project, and then once the scope and everything's taken care of, the public works will take care of actually doing those 2 dredgings. The Pelican Cove Drainage Project we have just created because that project became a lot larger than what we anticipated. So the engineer is going to start the surveying work on that project here in the next few weeks. The Noma Drive Walking Trail, the engineer is trying to survey the rest of the area as well for the walking trail, as well as where the trailheads may be stationed within or created within the city. Some exciting news is the city has been awarded $500,000 from the Mississippi Outdoor Stewardship Grant Fund. We applied for this back in October and or September, and we just got notice last week or so that we've been awarded that grant. So it's a wonderful grant to have to be able to move forward on this project. But this will create a walking path from Noma Drive at the end all the way around to Montjoy Creek. A lot of that being through the Secretary of State's property. So that'll be a great project if we can get moving forward on that. The dog park, the Hancock County is working with Neil Schaefer to update the original survey. We just got an email on this, I don't say Thursday or Friday of last week, to show the utility easements that are needed to be shown on the plat, and then provide some corrections to the property description, just some incorrect identifications. Once that's complete, then they will request the re-subdivision process, and during that process, they'll also include the dedication of the road to the city. And the rest, Go Mesa projects, we're working on just as they are. And that's it for me.
All right, Councilman Marr?
Just wondering, is Public Works gonna start putting in those, whatever they call them, turtle shells or whatever those things between the lines?
Jiggle bars is what the company calls them. Yes, company didn't have all of them in stock, and so they are getting the rest of them over to us, and hopefully they'll be here probably maybe next week, and then we'll working with the county, they're going to let us borrow a piece of equipment, and then we'll get those all installed.
Councilman Clark?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I have a few things. First, the stop sign on Kalani, how did that get there? Because I don't think it was in the bond project.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Well, it wasn't in the bid set. How did it get in there? I'd have to go back and look at that. If it wasn't in the bid set, it was a discussion between the engineers and the city, and the discussion was that needs to be a three-way stop, and so it was taken care of by the engineer. It was added after
Yes, ma'am.
after the contractor.
That's
Did he
right.
he didn't do a change order to?
None was needed. The
To-
city
to
did
add-
the installation.
Oh, so the city did the installation,
That's
so it
right.
really wasn't part of the bond
Yeah.
project. And I
we-
guess I just have concerns. When we add a stop sign, a stop sign is a big thing. It's a big thing for the residents. It's a big thing. And in the past, we would put it on the agenda, we'd have a discussion of it. The engineer would come and discuss it. I found out driving down the road, and I knew it wasn't on the bond bid package because I had that. And then it was just there. So I didn't know, I couldn't answer.
And that's why it was covered. That way everybody had time to see it, that it was coming.
Mhm. Did we do a traffic count or a traffic
No, ma'am.
study? We just put it up
We
there.
didn't feel there was one needed. The engineer looked at the situation and said, yes, that needs to be there.
Was it the city engineer or,
Orion Planning.
okay, that was a question I had on that. The striping at the end of Golf Club, and I know you're doing the final walkthrough on that. It's very difficult if you have a truck or a trailer, or if you have a big dually, to be able to stop and turn. Can we get the engineer to look at maybe those last 3 cones? It's very difficult because the center line of the road goes, and then all of a sudden it takes a sharp right. And then you've got to be able to turn, but there's not enough. So when you make a sharp turn that way, there's not enough storage room for a vehicle to fit going
Right.
straight. So half your vehicle's back here and the other half is curved like that, and it is extremely difficult for a truck or a trailer with a trailer to be able to make a turn, or a big dually,
Right.
or UPS, or any. Can we look at that? 'Cause
The engineer looked at that, and I actually asked that same question earlier in the project, and he stood by what he has drawn up and says that's the best way. The main reason is it allows you, it turns you so that you actually can see the traffic coming on Diamond Head Drive East, and without having to try to crane your neck and see back behind you to see if anything's coming. So that was the purpose of turning it that way, so that you're kind of lined up with the rest of Diamond Head Drive East.
And that's a very good way.
And it's
Mhm. You
it's
wanna be-
understandable that large vehicles, school buses, 18-wheelers, whatever, are probably going to have to kind of more move over into the left side or the left lane and make a wider turn onto Diamond Head Drive East. I mean, that's just kind of a understanding of what bigger vehicles have to do.
It's the vehicle, if we would have had a longer storage area, so if you just tell them a longer storage area
just
instead of the turn.
There's no room there, unfortunately.
Because I
that's the whole
had,
thing.
stopping there with the dually, had to back up because I followed the lines. I couldn't turn right. I had to back up, get in the other lane, and then turn, or else I was going to take the stop sign out in two of the cones.
Right.
All right, if we could just look at that. Mahawahuli Garden, I had sent an email about the little cross brace being broken.
Yes.
But the rest of it really needs to be some landscaping done and some,
Actually spoke with the VFW yesterday, and they want to do a day of service, and they want to go out to that area and do a lot of work. So they're
Mhm.
still working on this time and date and everything, but they're going to get back with me on that info.
'cause, and our Boy Scouts every year have been out
I
there
explained that to
working
them as well.
very hard. We bring the straw and they do all the work.
That's
So
correct.
they have been working very hard on that too, so we may need to reach out for that.
I told him that as well, that he may want to coordinate with that. And he said the scout leader is a VFW member, so he would
Mhm.
get with him and discuss that.
Bayou Drive, I know we were gonna have it in the bond. That was one of the streets that was in the bond originally, but then the cost of asphalt went up tremendously, so we weren't able to put Bayou Drive in the bond. I did receive, an email earlier today, I guess about 4:30. There is so many loose rocks on Bayou Drive. The vehicles driving down Bayou Drive, the rocks are flying up and hitting windshields, and a gentleman had an issue with it. Can we get Bayou Drive swept off? I know the very end of it, John, is the rocks are all over the place. And did SMPDD?
I will get with Public
Okay.
Works on that.
Did SMPDD, did they give you the final on the road rating?
I
'Cause then-
have it in GIS. Unfortunately, I don't have access into the GIS, and I've been trying to get that straightened out with the
Oh.
software company to get that in there.
So they hadn't given you the written
But
report?
I do have the website, so that I can see it. I just can't. I don't have the report itself.
Okay. Then we had asked you to look at getting methods to update the residents to notify what's going on, like the stop sign, because I didn't even know. But what can we do to help? Did you get a list together yet? Are you still working on it?
Yeah, we're still working on that.
Okay.
The main thing we're doing, that we were looking at, is the constant contact, getting text messaging out to residents instead of just email.
Mhm.
There's a setup time on that, and we're still working with them to get that all taken care of. Most of it's kind of legal that we have to work with.
Okay. And then what is the schedule for cleaning the ditches? Because the rain is here and we've got ditches that need, winter does havoc on ditches.
Public Works is working every one of them as they always do.
Okay, so they're working on them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the last question, because this is something that's very important and I don't understand it. So we're changing our zoning from conventional to form-based. So conventional was mainly words, right? It was a lot of words. And it was established way back after World War II, but it's the one everybody uses, conventional zoning. It's what most everyone uses. And now we're changing to form-based, which is about the building. It's about urbanism. It's totally different than conventional, right? So it's about urbanism. The first form-based development we learned was in Florida, right? Seaside, Florida, the first one Andre Dewani did. But the maps look completely different in form-based than they look in conventional. So is the plan to approve, and this is what I have to wrap my head around because it wakes me up at night thinking about it, the conventional zoning map that's got R1, R2, which in the urbanism planning is completely different type buildings than it is in the conventional. Totally different layout. Then the Aloha District, which is our whole urbanism thought, right? It's one big area with 5 sub-districts in it, and it's completely different. How are we going to work when people are coming in to pull permits between the transition of approving an urbanism or form-based ordinance with a conventional map?
Currently, ma'am, we are not trying to rezone any piece of property in Diamond Head. That is not what the city is in the middle of right now. The council approved to hire Orion Planning to rewrite, or not really even rewrite, but to clean up our current zoning ordinances that we have. We added all of the Aloha District zones, the form-based, like you're saying, all that was added in with our commercial, residential, and everything else that we currently have. Well, I'm guessing because this was before me, but someone saw that was confusing, disorganized, and needed to be cleaned up. So that's what Orion Planning is currently doing. We are in no way, the city is in no way trying to change any zones or any personal or any property on there. The current map that's in the Envision 2040, proposed map that's in Envision 2040 is just that. It was the proposal that we made back when they were creating that 2040 Envision plan. Means nothing, truthfully, because it's just what was proposed at that time. When the actual, when the city decides to actually rezone properties, there'll be an entirely new map created, new designs set up, and then, of course, plenty of public input. Probably the first thing would even be to meet with the property owners and see if that's something they would even want to do. They may want it all to stay C1 or R2 or whatever it may be. So if they're not interested, I don't know that the city can just force things to happen. I mean, I know we can, but you're fighting an uphill battle if the property owner himself doesn't or herself doesn't even want it. So, but right now we're not changing any zones. We're not changing any property. We're not rezoning anything anywhere.
And we're
simply
very
cleaning
clear.
up our
We're
zoning.
very clear we're not changing the zoning. So let me say it in a different way. So the zoning ordinance is urbanism. We all get that. And it's written completely different than conventional. So let's look at this. The Aloha districts in the proposed map are shown in a specific area on the proposed map. They got that map by going through the design data, sketching it out, looking at where it would fit.
No, ma'am, it actually came from Linfield, the Linfield 100 group, when that was done, 2018 or 2016, whatever. And Orion Planning, who did our Envision 2040 plan, just simply took that and placed it on there saying this is the proposed map based on what the Linfield 100 engineering firm developed for us.
So now you've got C1 and C2 commercial district, and we have a lot of it on the existing map. We won't have any of the Aloha districts, so nobody can come in and pull a permit and say, well, I want to use these Aloha standards, because that's not going to happen.
That's incorrect, ma'am. They could if they wanted to. They can come and ask for a rezoning.
They could ask, anybody could ask for rezoning.
Certainly.
But as it stands today, and here's what I'm trying to get at, the building types and the form-based urbanism plan for C1 and C2 are not going to fit where the Aloha District type buildings look, right? The Aloha District buildings are completely different with the form base, and all of this is on how things are built up. So now, until we get it rezoned, when people come in, they're going to be putting C1 and C2 building types where we want our beautiful Aloha District.
I completely agree.
And it's not going to look right, so we're not even doing the Envision plan.
I completely agree.
Well,
unfortunately, everyone says, how did and why did we get the Taco Bell? Because we haven't changed anything. We haven't gotten to the point of actually rezoning any property to go to an Aloha District type form base. The properties are all C1 or whatever they are, and that's it. We haven't changed anything, and nothing at this time. The city hasn't designated, or the council, I shouldn't say, hasn't designated to change anything at this time.
So should we look at putting a moratorium on, once we approve the new zoning ordinance, until we get the zoning map? So that we don't
That's not my decision.
have buildings, well, I'm looking at that in my head, because I don't want to see us get buildings with the C1 and C2 that have a whole different form base stuck in our Aloha district when we have visions of how the Aloha district's going to look. And if anybody comes in and pulls a permit after this is approved without the map, then if it's by right, you have to let them do it.
That is correct.
You have to let them build what they want to build, and then our Aloha district is going to be,
I completely agree with you.
okay, well, that's just stuff I wanted to clear up because it's been bothering me, and I don't want to see us, I'm in for a moratorium until we get a map, but that's just my thought. Okay. Councilman Cumberland?
Me next, huh? Okay, canal dredging, John.
Yes, sir.
I know you said it's like 4 months away, but how far have you guys gotten along on the plan for that?
One more time.
How far have you gotten along on the plan for that?
The canal dredging, the engineer has completed the entire drawings for that project and has submitted them to the Restore Council, I guess. And so they're reviewing that, and so as soon as they approve it, it's got to go through the different committees and the different boards to approve and issue a civil award. So 60 days to 120 is what we're unfortunately looking at to try to get that project started.
To just get it started?
Yeah.
Once you get it started, what's the expected period of performance?
Well, since the drawings and the engineering's all done, thank goodness, unless anything needs to change coming out of the Restore Council, anything they request to be changed, it's getting it out for advertising to bid, 30 days, 45 days to get it bid and awarded, and then you're talking another 30 to 60 to get a contractor out there. So yeah, unfortunately, we're still looking at maybe August to September, unfortunately, to get a contractor on site starting to work. But since this has been going on for 3.5 years, I guess we're getting closer than we've ever. That's the best thing.
Yeah. So on the new multimodal lane that's going to be, or actually it's a walking trail that's going to be behind the wall?
Yes, MDOT will not allow motorized vehicles on it, so
Okay.
no golf carts or motorcycles or anything like that. So it'll be walking, jogging, biking.
How are we going to connect that to everywhere? I mean, we have access points around the city?
Yeah, they have 2 access points right now, one at the East Rec, and then one more somewhere, I can't remember exactly where, and then of course one at Shepherd Square.
Okay.
To try to connect to that multimodal lane that we already have there.
And on the presentations that you guys did tonight, I really appreciate you guys doing that. I know that you put a lot of work into that, and it's informative, and I appreciate it.
Certainly. I wish the engineers could have been here, but we all have these city council meetings on the same time and night, so I told them I can handle the first 2 if Covington would do the last one.
That's all I have.
Councilmember Lisi?
Thank you. Okay, we've got a few things. Okay, the new stop sign, we've had, and I know we've talked about this in this meeting in the past, we've had 2 residents on bikes that have been hit by a car there, or cars, within the last
That's
few
correct, and that
months.
was the
So
reason
I know
why-
that played into it. I just wanted to
It
say that
did.
out loud so people were aware that happened if they didn't know.
Right, and that's why I addressed it with the engineer about the safety of that, and that was their determination as well, that needed to be a 3-way stop. It's progress for the city. We're just getting bigger and bigger and more cars around. And unfortunately, more stop signs have to get put up to help that.
Right, thank you. Okay, and then just a question about the striping. I know it looks odd, and anybody with access to the internet knows people are very upset. And in general, nobody likes, or very few people like it. I mean, could you expound on the history of that? Where did it come from? I mean, did some engineer just sit down and think, you know what, I'm going to draw the craziest lines I've ever imagined for Diamond Head? I mean, where is this
No problem.
based in federal regulation? or-
Well, everything, all of it is based on the federal regulations of traffic control. But it came about as, again, part of the Envision 2040 plan. One of the main things that came from the residents and that they discussed is a safe walking path and multimodal path. And so from that came a buffered bike lane, is what it's called. And so that's where the 1 foot or 2 foot lane is that separates the travel lane from the bike path itself. And I call it a bike path, but of course it's golf carts, joggers, walkers, anyone else who's not driving a car and can use that lane, and it provides an extra 2 foot of safety between them and the drivers in the travel lane. And I've heard, I know you said some like it, some don't, and I understand that, but I've heard several residents that live on Diamond Drive East, where that was a 4-lane road, are so happy to have that because now they can safely get to their mailbox and get their mail and not have to be, run over by cars driving in that 4-lane road. So they're really happy about that. But the main thing is it's all about safety. It's about slowing people down. I mean, we're a residential neighborhood. People don't need to be going 40, 45 miles an hour. What the mayor was talking about as far as, actually, no, I'll take that back. You were on the other side. I was on the side by the water tower. That traffic circle there is a much, much tighter traffic circle. The circumference of it's just nowhere near as big as the others. So the roadway itself is much smaller than the other traffic circles. Plus, there's, I want to say, 7 egress in that area. So there's a lot of road coming in or a lot of people coming in and going out through different roadways. So there's a lot of stripes on the road that kind of makes it a little bit confusing. But main thing is stay up against your yellow line and you're in good shape.
Okay, thank you. And then I wanted to ask a couple more questions about the map confusion.
Sure.
And I had a good discussion with Pat Rich yesterday. I don't know if you want him to come up, but he explained it really well. Could he come up for just a minute?
Do you want to? I mean, you don't have to. if you don't feel like it.
He's going to decline. No, Pat loves this part.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
So we had a good talk yesterday, and you helped me understand some parts of it that I didn't, quite understand. I just wanted to know if you could kind of share that with the public about, like, on October 23rd. I know y'all had a map, and you were going to go work on it some more, and everybody's like, "Where's the map?" And just could you
Yes.
elaborate, please? Thank you.
You expect me to remember what I said yesterday?
Yes.
Was it on the phone or y'all had a
It was on
meeting?
I had a resident ask me about it, and I called him to just ask some questions, and he explained it really well, and so I asked him for him to share it with the group.
Yes, I'll be more than happy to. As you know, there was a rezoning request requested by a landowner, and part of the thing was that they were going to locate condos on that parcel. And since the mixed-use district had already been defined within the ordinance, and is specified, here's the form, here's all the setbacks, all that. It seemed to create a lot of confusion there, that, okay, you haven't put this on the map, we're not sure what we've got in here, because it was a previous council that there was only 2 members, and there's only 1 member now that approved adding those into our ordinances.
2 members. Councilman Finley was here.
Okay, if you say so. The majority of the council had not heard this. The majority of the planning commission had not gone through this process. So, in talking with Derek and John and Bob Barber from Orion, we reformulated our strategy, and it was we really need to do a better job of educating what this is, how it's going to affect people, and walk it through these stages. So we've done that with the Planning and Zoning Commission. We're having the next month's meeting. We're going to have people have had time to comment it. Bob's coming back with the comments and the corrections that will be made on that. Hopefully that night we'll answer everybody's questions, got everybody's take, and present to you the beginning of April the new code rewrite. And the code rewrite was nothing more than take the existing code and simplify it. It wasn't adding anything to it, not because these districts were already added into it. So we decided to slow it down a little bit, bring everybody back through the process, get everybody familiar with it and understanding before we got into the rezoning process. In other words, take what was defined in the ordinance and then put it on a map with a piece of paper on a map and say, okay, here's what we're recommending this parcel be, whether it be mixed use, traditional commercial, townhomes, whatever it would be. That would be the recommendation there. And then people would have time to see that, discuss it, etc. So
the reason there's not a map right now that can be shared and produced is because there's not one.
that's correct.
Right?
The only map we have is what was in Envision 2040, which John has already said was part of the Linfield plan. So,
Okay. Yeah, you said one thing yesterday that I thought was good. You said, we made a conscious decision to really slow that down because it, like you said, it was clear that there was so much confusion, and you made a decision to kind of pump the brakes and educate the public because, people tend to think, oh, the city's just trying to slip something in. This is the opposite of that. This is y'all trying to eventually, get more community involvement when you are ready to have a map, and of course it will be shared. And you're going to have signs anywhere that might be rezoned, and public
Correct.
Notice, and
correct.
and hearings and input, and
Correct.
okay.
All right, is there any other?
I'm not finished.
Oh,
Thank
okay, I was going to let other members have a chance to talk to Pat.
I appreciate that, but I'm not finished. Thank you.
Okay.
But I just wanted to make that clear because I think people, are misinterpreting what's going on.
Yes, we intentionally slowed the process down to get better buy-in, to
Okay.
get better education, more information out to the public, so people know that what we're doing, why we're doing it, and that we're not trying to slip something under the table.
Okay. And a zoning code rewrite versus zoning changes, can you just touch on what the difference is?
Well, yes, zoning change, zoning code rewrite. That was the simplification of the zoning code, is what it is. We had, 270-something uses there. We had, 200-300 pages in the zoning code, and many of them said the same thing. Well, this was a creation of a simplified, easy-to-read zoning code, and you could refer to other sections by hyperlinking if you were looking at it online, or it was spelled out to you what section to go to see what these specifications were. So it was to make it simple, easy to use, so people could come in and instead of picking up the phone and calling and say, we've got to do this, it would be easy for individuals to use.
Okay. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for that. And let's see. John,
Wait, Pat, we're not finished. The council hadn't had a chance to ask their questions to you, and then we'll get back to the city manager question. Councilman Marr, you have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay, Councilman Clark? Pat, he didn't get his chance.
Okay.
welcome back.
Thank you.
So with this rewrite, is there a way we can finalize that, whenever, however soon we can, but before it goes in place, we get a map and then do it together?
Yes.
Instead of just doing one, setting it right then and there, and then bringing in the map. Bring both of them in at the same time and place them at the same time.
That was my motion.
That
I'm
Okay.
thinking like you're thinking. We have to do that.
Well, it's two separate processes. One is rewriting the code, consolidating it, simplifying it, taking our existing code. The other is the big hill to climb. That's the rezoning. That's the toughest thing a city can do. The requirements in order to do this. And we're going to be doing it. Now, we may decide to take a section and rezone that.
And
But
Pat-
we would do it on a individual parcel basis. Okay? So, I would not recommend doing it that way for those reasons, because you're conflating the two when one has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah, Pat, we just can't come up with a new map and say, in a vote, we're passing it. When you rezone properties, as Pat has said, look at my comments at the last planning and zoning meeting. It is the toughest thing that we do. There's going to be litigation over it if we don't do it the proper way. It requires a lot of notice. It requires public hearings. It requires all this. You cannot just say, okay, we're changing the map. So there will be no rezoning of any individual piece of property. As I think I told Mr. Brown, I think he might have left. I told Mr. Brown, and he's been good. He's been at all these meetings and paying attention. I told him you'll have to be hiding under a rock not to know that the city is going to rezone multiple pieces of property. So you're going to know. But when we do, that's when the public debate happens about all of that. So the ordinance, the council can say, we're revising our ordinance, here's what we want to do. When you rezone, we're rezoning other people's properties. We're creating, an issue. These folks have an expectation of what happens with their property. When they bought their property, they knew it was C1 or C2, and the city is saying, aha, you can't do what you bought that property for anymore. So it requires a lot of, you have to have the reasoning, you have to have the notice, you have to have the public comments, you have to have all that. It's not easy. So I just wanted to reemphasize that. But again, look at the planning and zoning meeting minutes, or the recording from that. We laid it out, I thought, pretty well there. So
do you have any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I think the question that Councilman Clark was asking is, this isn't just reformatting. You can't say that. The legal counsel just said, rewriting. You're rewriting when you add another district, you add 5 districts, you do form-based, totally different. So if you look up form-based zoning, and I want everybody to go home on your computers and look up what is form-based zoning and what is the format for form-based zoning. So learn what you're doing here. Step number 1 is public outreach. What do you want to see in these areas, which our Ryan Planning did? That's our 2040 Envision Plan, right?
Correct.
Then we look at step 2. You make a map, you sketch, you see that the tattoo parlor's not up against this or that. You look at the design data. So the design data and the urbanism has to fit with what's adjacent to it. You can't just create design data and then later say, well, this will fit over here, this will fit here. And then the other part of it, the biggest part, the part that I have most concerned over, we approved this urbanism zoning plan, and we approve it. And it may be a year before the map's done. And somebody comes in, and he has to give them a permit because it's by right, the specific building in R1. He has to issue the permit. And it doesn't fit with the Aloha District or what we wanted and what we envisioned. And it's pointless to do. It's pointless to do them separate. You're not going to get the product that we want. You're not going to get the vision of the 2040 plan. You're going to get R1 and R2 in the Aloha District, which is not going to fit. Do you agree with that?
No, I do not.
You're going to give people permits?
That's what we've been doing since, when did we adopt 2040?
And that's what...
We've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm. So why rush it now?
I'd
not
like to
rushing it.
correct
We're purposely
something.
slowing it down.
I'd like to correct something. Everything, these 5 sub-districts, everything about the Aloha District, the Town Center District, was adopted in 2019. They're
Correct.
in the
Mhm.
existing ordinances.
Mhm.
We're not adding anything. That's already in the ordinance.
But do you agree that an R1 building is going to look completely different than a multi-use Aloha District building? Look at the data. Look at the way the buildings look.
The R1
Mhm.
is going to remain, its name's changing. We've got R1, which R1 indicates is a 10,000 square foot
Mhm.
lot. It's changing to R10. R2 is 6,000
Well, let's not do
square.
R1. We're doing C1 and C2. This is
Okay,
what we're
very
talking
good.
about.
So
A
it has
C1
nothing to do with the residential.
No, a C1 building looks nothing like a AHMU. Nothing.
Agreed.
He can't deny a permit in our AHMU district that we hope happens. He has to give a C1 permit if it's C1 right now today. If we approve the zoning ordinance before the map, John has got to do, if it's by right, he has to issue the permit. And it's not going to be an AHMU or an AH, TH. It's not going to be the type building that we want to see. And we're doing that today.
Yes.
And that's why we're not happy. So that's why I'm saying really put the brakes on and do it all at once. Just put it ever how long it takes. And I see what the council's saying. We have to, it's going to be hard to rezone, and that's a large area to rezone. It is. I don't have the solution. I just know that the map needs to go with what we're envisioning, or it's pointless. We're back to square one. We're approving something that's not even making any difference to what we're going to do.
And what I say is one has nothing to do with the other. One is taking our existing code, which those districts are identified in there, and it got all the forms and all that in there. And what we're doing is we're simplifying that,
Why do we need to do that now?
because that was identified in 2040, and one of the steps in there, and we're taking them in the order that 2040.
But you can't utilize it because you don't have a map with any of those districts in the Aloha existing. They don't exist.
But they've existed since 2019, Mayor, but if we're going to rezone the properties, and you talk about a moratorium while we wait to rezone in Diamond Head it's going to take, most likely it's going to take years to get all these properties, and you're going to talk about a moratorium. We're going to have a flood of building permits probably before you guys vote on the moratorium, but I can't recommend that. I mean, the rezoning is going to take time.
It will
You
take
just saw
time.
what happened with the Cure property. I mean, we could have ended up in litigation very easily over that property, very easily. So you're talking about a process. Once we start identifying properties, are we going to do it in phases? Are we going to do it? But it's the reorganization of the ordinance does have some design standards in there. It's more user-friendly. It's exactly the path that we've been down since 2040. I mean, for about 4 or 5 years. So I would not be using the word moratorium, but that's just me.
Okay, that's my feelings and my thoughts on it. Councilman Cumberland?
I have moratorium written on my pad with 4 question marks beside it because I was very concerned when I heard that word. I would love it if every building was exactly like we planned it right now moving forward, but that's not how it works, right?
Correct.
It takes time, and I agree with Derek that we're putting ourselves in a bad position when we start saying things. I think the last time that was said, WLOX was out here with news cameras and nobody had anything to say then. But anyway, I would not vote for a moratorium. I think it's a terrible idea.
All right, Councilman Finley, you didn't have a chance.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh, I'm not saying anything. If I say something, I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings.
Just a quick question. Where do the new design guidelines fall? Are they part of the ordinances or part of
the new design guidelines?
Yes,
Okay, the form
Yes.
Like it's
So-
supposed to be
like-
business on the top, retail on the bottom?
No, I'm talking about,
No, Pat, she's talking about that it has
I'm
to be certain colors,
And
a
what are
certain
they
color
gonna look
palette,
like?
certain designs. That is actually part of his zone code rewrite that,
That's what I wanted
that
to
Orion
Yeah.
has in.
Okay.
confirm. Okay, so
Okay.
that's being
Sorry about
addressed.
that.
Yes.
So if someone came in and put a business in with a by right use, then they would have to follow, once we clean all that up, right? And we adopt it, they'll have to follow the new design guidelines, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
And.
that
I-
will address a lot of your concerns, I think.
Yes, okay, and then I do want to end on a good note. I saw some activity on the Yellow House today, so that's good news.
Thank you.
Glad about that.
It's been a long time.
Yes, thank you.
All right, is that all the questions for Pat?
I have to, so, now I'm leaning towards not understanding if we have down in what would be called maybe at some point the Aloha District,
Mhm.
the ability for a person to come in and just build a regular C1 model type home instead of like something that we're envisioning to be there. And if you're saying the mapping rewrite process could take 2 years, I don't like that. Isn't there a solution that we can come up with, short of moratorium, that can stop anybody from building what's allowed there now versus what we're envisioning to be there?
You can,
We'll
No.
have some design standards that are
yes,
part
we'll
of the
have
new
some
code
design standards. We'll also be at the
that
table
we don't have
with
now.
them, explaining to them what we envision this to be once we go through the rezoning process, and encourage them as good corporate citizens to go with our vision of what it is.
You can't make them do it, but you can suggest it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
You.
I think it's me. I don't know. Okay.
Mayor, I think it's you and Councilmember Marr for whatever reason. They're the only two I'm hearing feedback on.
I thought it was mine because it's hurting my
Hello?
ear.
Any feedback?
So if we can hurry up and get this code rewrite behind us, then we can full-time
We
on
give you
the,
permission to hurry up.
thank you, okay. We'll be full-time on the rezoning.
Thank you,
Hmm.
Pat.
Thank you.
Is that all you had, Councilman Moore?
Yeah, I just wish that the map would somehow, I mean, this is, I don't like a moratorium, but I don't like having the old and the new both available at the same time.
Unfortunately, when you rezone, make a major change like we're making, that's something that it does take a long time. And it's done that way for a good reason, so that you just can't, mine's reverbing now. So you just can't go in and overnight make a change.
And I don't like the idea of a moratorium. That'd be the last thing I'd want. But what's worse than that is having 50 new things built in the C1 and C2, and then it'd be pointless because the Aloha District and the whole vision and dream would be over with. It'd be over with. We'd have, if we had an influx of building before the map was done, it would not be what we all vision. It would not be the Aloha District. It would not.
Well, hopefully what we'll have is, once we have that in place, there will be an influx of building.
The new zoning map?
Mm-hmm. The new zoning map and the new
Yeah, the new
rezoning
zoning
passed.
map is a game changer. That brings development in. When you hear that you've got urbanism and you've got zones for that, you've got, Andre Dewani's smart code. When you have that map and that vision, that brings development in because they know that this is planned and moving forward. Having it where it's proposed Aloha and we're still letting C1 and C2 be built, yeah, it's challenging. I guess that's all the questions we have. We have
Okay.
tied you up all.
Thank you.
Pat.
Thank you. Okay, what we're going to do, because we have so many public comments, we're doing all of them right now instead of doing the non-agenda after. So, let's start with Sherry. You're giving your minutes to Beverly. Thelma, giving your minutes to Beverly. Mary Jo, giving your minutes to Beverly. So that's 3, 6, 9, and then Beverly would be 12. Okay. Where are you at, Diane? Oh, I see you. Okay. So that is 15 minutes from Beverly.
That's more than we could just be.
1, 2, 3, 4. So I have Diane, Mary Jo, Thelma, Sherry. And is there somebody? Oh, okay. I just saw you. Sorry. Beverly, there's a lot of people that have put faith in you tonight. You have 18 minutes.
Actually, I don't need it all. I'm going to be passing it
Okay.
on, but I figured it's easier to assign it to me and then I would pass it in my name just about. Okay, please bear with me. I've never done this before. But this is what started it all as to why I wanted to come to the council tonight. I went to last week's planning and zoning meeting.
They can't hear you, Miss Beverly. Just push it. Can you give me one
Can you
second,
hear
honey?
me?
I did not. Let me set the minutes. If you could give me 1 second.
Miss Beverly, would you, when you can, give your name and address?
I'm sorry, you can tell I've never done this before.
That's
huh?
okay. Thank you.
Are you ready for me to start,
Is the
Mayor?
mic on?
And I have such a big mouth. Are you ready?
I am hitting start.
Beverly Ledette, 74595 Diamond Head Drive North. The first thing that brought me to the meeting tonight was I decided to attend a planning and zoning meeting to see what takes place there, because I come to the council meeting and then we're trying to, you know, the residents are all trying to fight things here. So just let me go to planning and zoning. Let me see what happens there. I was so disappointed in the meeting, and I am not the only one. I think majority of the residents that attended the planning and zoning meeting last week were just amazed. Don Duff was up speaking, sharing his views and opinions of Diamond Head, and I'm sorry, what's her name? Heather? Is that right? Heather Flowers, maybe? Decided to turn his views and opinions to her sitting there, and it's online if y'all want to go view it. She decided to turn the meeting into her views and opinions of what she felt the future of Diamond Head should be. And I don't feel that that was her place, I'm sorry, up at the podium to voice that to the, there were a lot of people that left upset. You could hear everybody talking in the back. One gentleman wanted to know if they were appointed or elected. This is how upset everybody was. And when he walked up and asked them if they were appointed or elected, the response was, we're volunteers and we don't get paid, and they followed it with giggling. I don't know how anybody here could call that a professional meeting. And these are the people that we have doing our planning and zoning. I'm sorry, I keep moving. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, I have a question here that I have to tell you. Between listening to all of y'all talk about zoning, rezoning, not rezoning, maps and rezoning, it has totally beat my question up, and I'm not sure how to ask it anymore. I've heard people say no rezoning. I heard people say working on rezoning. So what is the next step for the city council? I'm trying to reword this. What is the next step for the city council in planning and zoning for Envision 2040? What's the next step? What can, as residents, we expect to be?
Pat, you're the P&Z. The next step, it goes to P&Z.
These are public comments.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll ask that next week when I go to,
Yes.
You can email me
Or
and
next month.
we'll answer that question for you. If you wish,
Okay,
or
thank
try to
you.
give us a call.
yeah, well, I mean, it's just everybody, you know, as far as residents, we've heard a map. There is no map. The map will be coming. There's no rezoning. We're rezoning. And if, as residents, I mean, y'all have to understand the confusion here. And then I hear y'all talking about that y'all will present everything later. But how much time will we have to know it's out there, to know it was posted, to know that everything was sent out? Are we going to have adequate time to respond? Okay. The next one, this is an agenda item. When I moved here almost 9 years ago, I met now then Council DeFrio. I'm sorry, let me start over. When I moved here almost 9 years ago, I met Council Nancy DeFrio. Even though I was not in her ward, she adopted me into Ward 1, invited me to her ward meetings. I found it very informative to find out about Diamond Head that way. It was a way to meet a lot of new people, and I really don't understand now, 9 years later, the city is wanting to charge now Mayor DeFrio to use the activity room for ward meetings that she's done nothing but use to inform the residents of Diamond Head. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. And I did read somewheres where we want to charge her to meet with realtors along the Mississippi Gulf Coast to promote Diamond Head. You know, so I am here to take up for our mayor. I don't understand this. She has done nothing but provide us with information. She has never pushed her views or opinions on us. So I don't understand the charge. Mayor, how much time do I have left?
You have
I should have a lot of time.
13 minutes.
I would like to pass those 13 minutes to Don Duff.
Okay. So let's see who's next. Mr. Jimmy Glass. So Don, you have been moved up. It's yours, and let me reset my clock. So Miss Beverly gave you 13, and you had 3, so that's 16.
Well, I'm thoroughly, Don Duff, 546 Lakeview Court. I am thoroughly confused. When we started the meeting, did we or did we not approve a motion to get a zoning map completed? Was that what you were after, Mayor DeFrio? And
That is what I was asking, but I did not get it.
Did we get it approved or not?
No, we did not.
Okay, because I thought when you came back to Commissioner Cumberland that was changed. The one thing that I'm really concerned about is that you keep referring to changing the zoning to the beautiful Aloha District mixed-use type facilities. I don't know what the issue is with allowing commercial property to be built on the property between Jex Drive and Malahi Drive, the Cure Land property and the Prestige Fitness property and one other tract. What's the issue with having the type of commercial facilities that we have in the Aloha area already? Why do we need multi-story facilities? The concern I have is if it's changed to Aloha District mixed use, as shown on a map that I went and picked up at the city offices. I was told there was an up-to-date map, but it's the same thing that's in the online, and the same thing you handed out at one of your ward meetings. And it shows those 3 tracts as being Aloha District mixed use. They are commercial now. You say they'll stay commercial until they're rezoned. What is wrong with leaving it as commercial and having 1-story buildings like we have now around the one-story residents that are surrounding that area. I know you want these beautiful Aloha District mixed-use buildings, but you're at the mercy of who wants to build there. You can end up with a 3-story if we follow the regulations that Commissioner Mayer recommended of having no more than 3 stories. You can end up with a 3-story condominium with a larger footprint with still 58 units on it. In it that is it's like you're trying to force it down our neck, and we've already regurgitated it once. Do we have to regurgitate it again? I just think that we should stick with the way Diamond Head was built. We've got a beautiful city, a unique city, and I don't see where the commercial facilities we have now are that unpleasant. Now, there's a lot of area outside those 3 plots of property to the east of that there's plenty of property to build Aloha District mixed-use type facilities if you can convince contractor to build those. And I just think we need to leave those 3 tracks alone. I know I've got a hat in the ring in that we live adjacent to it, but I feel like other residences would that live in Diamond Head would be concerned with having multi-story buildings sticking up around single-story buildings and houses in that area. I don't know why the map, I mean, I guess this was a proposed map that, nothing's ever been changed. It still says AHMU on it. So I'm just asking that we consider leaving it that way. I've also asked that, with the form-based type zoning, that let's invent something for commercial. You say you don't have a designation to zone property commercial. You invented Aloha District Mixed Use, AHMU. Come up with some designation for commercial property. Leave it that way. That's what it is. Leave it that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so who do we have next? Beverly? Yes, ma'am, it's you.
Okay, Beverly O'Hara, 7334 Annalee Street. I wrote my notes going to the agenda items, the public comments, and I just went right in the row. So I'm going to start with the tabled item, 2023-24274, about the $40,000 for the dog park. The last meeting that I remember this came up, the council voted for the dog park to go, I think, on Sherman by the library. And I don't know if that's changed or not, because I haven't heard any updates about that. Is that where it is? Because it's supposed to be? Because that means a lot of trees are going to be taken down, and, that's a concern with a lot of the residents. I don't know if that's a fixed deal, but I don't know how we can vote on giving $40,000 to something that we don't even have planned yet. If it's in the bank, let's keep it in the bank till we know what we're doing. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, I want a dog park. I'm all for it, but it needs to be in the right place. It needs to be vetted so we know we don't have a drainage issue like by Twin Lakes. And, we just have to plan properly for these things. And I just don't want to go tossing money and then we roll it back again and everybody gets frustrated. So I just think that needs to kind of be on hold. The next thing I wanted to address was the Resolution 2024-059, the donated property to the POA. I just wondered, will the POA be able to maintain anything like that if people decide to stop paying their dues? It's like they're taking on things, and I just don't know if that's
But
realistic or not. If
That
the
is
city
them
would counsel it
donating to the city, Calipacona Pond and the Duck Pond.
to the city, not the POA?
Yes.
Oh, then that's a whole different story. Then, okay, just disregard that then, because I thought it said to the POA. The next thing was 2024-062, the tree canopy. I think needs to be included in that ordinance before it would be changed, because that wasn't really discussed when we went to the meeting the other day for the planning and zoning. We talked about the whole tree ordinance being adopted, but nobody addressed what the tree canopy is supposed to remain. We know that Elliott just chopped all those trees down when they put in Diamond Head Lakes, and I know they said it was a 3-step process, and they were going to work with them to replace trees. They don't have to put it there, they can put it someplace else. We just really don't know what's going on, what is being planned, and we really want things to be transparent. We want the tree canopy, and I don't know who all to talk to about that. I mean, they mentioned a city arborist, but I don't know who that is or who they're working with. Our garden club is fantastic. Okay, I'm running over time, but the last
You probably
thing,
have another minute, because I was having very serious issues trying to get through, and I could
okay.
not.
The
So
other
you-
thing is about the geese. I would say, yes, let's remove them from the contract. They're not, we have contracts in place for some places where it's a problem, but if we include them, they can just be removed because they're a nuisance. I read your email, and I agree with that. I don't think they should be included. And I also wanted to voice my support for you using the activity center without charge. I mean, not for baby showers, but for city issues, yes.
I have no intention for a baby shower, but thank you, Beverly.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Moving on to Paul Brown. Did Mr. Paul leave? Okay. Jimmy Glass, you ready?
Hey guys.
Hello.
So, Miss Beverly, you did a great job for your first time speaking. I think it's a tough job that you guys have. Most of the time we call you guys, we're angry about something, so you don't hear us calling you saying, "Hey, great job." You know, Miss Nancy. I have a similar story about meeting Miss Nancy as when she was my ward person. Her ward meetings. She's been to my house a couple times. So I think what you do for the city is really great. Welcome, Austin. Thanks for taking on this responsibility. I'd start with the broadcasting of the meeting here. It's pretty bad when I watch on YouTube, so I don't come often, but I watch it on YouTube. This camera right here is out of sync with the one that's behind you guys, or vice versa, one of the two. So I think that can be fixed pretty easily, but I don't know if you guys were aware of that problem. If you guys watch it, it's annoying.
We didn't, but while we're speaking of cameras, I did have a resident reach out, and it's probably one that's here. They can't see this table any longer, and you could see it. So can we fix that?
Sorry, mic's not on. It would cut off Councilman Finley and Councilman Lisi.
How did you
So
have it working before? We've got years of it.
I can't answer that. I
Okay.
tried to fool with it.
I know a guy.
To make that work. But
I don't-
unfortunately, it just will not. But I have spoke with another person to try to get that worked out, so I'm waiting on a
Shane, would
quote
you
back.
be okay with being cut off?
Bye, Covington, thank you. Okay, go ahead, I deeply apologize.
Cool. So I'm a technologist by trade.
I know, so
if-
you know,
Yeah,
you know.
if you need some assistance with this, I'm also assisting our local church with a similar mass broadcasting. So what I'm here today to speak about is the tree ordinance. I also watched the planning and zoning meeting. I slightly disagree with the characterization of the commissioners. I think they're put in a tough position. They're good people. They mean well. But there were only 4 of them at that meeting. When I watched it, it was a long meeting about the planning and zoning. Pat asked for 30 days to work on this ordinance. It's not ready yet. The list of trees, from that list of trees, I don't think that they meet the stated purpose about the tree canopy. Because if we were looking to address that problem, we would include pine trees, which is the most populous group of trees that we have. And the rest of the list, we've got the American holly, we've got, which is a bush, a shrub in coastal areas, according to my research. We did include the sweet gum, which my neighbor affectionately refers to as an F-ball tree, because it has spikes, a million spikes. But that tree has leaves on it like 4 months out of the year. So it's not doing anything to stop water. So we need to be looking for evergreens. And we need to look at the population. The tree ordinance originally suggested that 6 inches was big enough. I don't think that's very big. So I think we should be looking rather at the height of the tree and not the width of the tree. But I would ask you guys to send this ordinance back to Pat, to P&Z, give them the time to work it out, and maybe give them a clearer purpose statement. Like, what is the purpose for this? Are we worried about some climate change agenda? Is it aesthetics? You know, I like the cypress trees at the duck pond. I think that was something Pat suggested in the meeting. You know, how does it help with the drainage problems? Fine trees with big leaves, but the black gum is 1/5 the population of pine trees, and the white oak is 1/10, and the rest of those are not even on the list. So, but I think the real problem that we're screaming about is subdivision development. I don't think that we need to be so quick to erode the rights of an individual property owner, requiring them to go get a permit to cut down their tree that they own. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bill?
I'm Bill Atkinson, 898 Callao Place. I want to talk about, and the mayor just mentioned about the process as far as traffic control devices, including stop signs. In general,
Thank you.
in general, the track record of the city as far as the process of placing traffic control devices.
Is it on?
Okay. The track record of the city as far as placing traffic control devices is lacking. Some of the facts to back up that contention are, number one, Section 30-5A of the city ordinance says that a city traffic engineer shall be appointed. There's no traffic engineer has been appointed. The traffic engineer is the only city official who is authorized to determine the installation and proper timing of maintenance of traffic control devices. Secondly, back in 2021, the city manager, Mike Rizzo, then sent a email to the city council suggesting stop signs on Kaloa, which we had a specific purpose of controlling speeding. The city ordinances say that all traffic control device signs, signals, and devices shall conform to the manual and specifications approved by the State Commissioner of Public Safety. The state law refers to the American Association of State Highway Officials, which publishes the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. That manual specifically says that stop signs should not be used to control speeding. But the city council went ahead and approved those stop signs anyway. Now, Ben, who the city legal counsel says is close enough to being city traffic engineer, said that some of the stop signs should be removed. The city council, using the power of the purse, refused to allocate funds to remove those stop signs. But because those stop signs are not in accordance with the MUTCD, those stop signs are not validly placed. And let's see, Section 3197 of the city ordinance says that the driver of any vehicle shall obey the instructions of any official traffic control devices applicable thereto, placed in accordance with the provisions of this chapter, which refers to the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Therefore, a lot of these stop signs are not valid. There's other things that they do. There's stop signs that there are stop ahead signs that aren't in the proper distance from the stop signs. There are signs that are not at least 48 inches above the level of the street.
I made a total debacle every 3 minutes ago ahead. It was me.
Okay. So that's what I think that the city needs to, A, appoint a traffic engineer, and B, establish a process where there's input as far as like the stop sign Kalani. I would suggest that rather than putting the stop sign that the city make the transition from Diamond Head Drive to Kalani a throughway, and make it in effect a T intersection where the traffic on Diamond Head Drive heading east would be the vertical section of the freeway intersection, and have that a stop sign, and the traffic going Kalani to Diamond Head and Diamond Head to Kalani should just be a free-flowing deal. Just in summary, traffic control devices are to facilitate the flow of traffic. They can't be used to idiot-proof our streets. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Tom. Is it Tom or Tim? Tim left. Okay. He did. I saw him. Jan White.
I'm Jan Vanita White. I live at 7523 Crooked Stick Drive. I was so glad to see that the geese are back on the agenda, because I've been following this. I've been coming to the meetings, and I have a few things to say. I'll be quick. It's past my bedtime, and I'm fading fast. Okay. So in deciding to move to Diamond Head permanently, that was no easy decision, because my move here 6 months ago was my 24th move. I've lived all over the world, and I picked Diamond Head. We lived here part-time for 14 years. I love Diamond Head. Diamond Head has everything, but one of the things we really love is the nature, the animals, the wildlife. And I believe that we as residents are custodians and stewards of this land. So I was very disappointed, but I understand when you all decided that the DOA should remove the carcasses and control the geese. I understand that was a business decision, and I get it. But what I'm asking you is, we have an opportunity here to use the Wild at Heart program, an animal rescue group, to help us out. And I think that is a more humane approach. So what I'm asking the council is, please, when we're making these decisions about the geese, the deer, the fish, whatever, the wildlife, I believe it would be a great idea to use the most humane approach. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vaughn?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm Vaughn Biggs, 63720 Diamond Head Drive North. I've listened to council discuss how to better disseminate information to residents. I listened to council discuss how to better disseminate information to residents. This is exactly what Mayor Nancy DePrio has taken great initiative to do. That, as well as build relationships, which is what community is about. In my opinion, this is community leadership at the best. Our tax dollars pay for this building for city business, and her meetings are city business. To take away the use of this space would be doing a great disservice to Diamond Head residents. That's all that I want to say about that, but can I ask a question? Right now, I would like to ask if we will see plans for the dog park before it just happens.
I would hope so. We'll just go with that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I also would like to see the geese removed from the contract, because if that contract is in place, one person can call, that can be done in the dark of the night, and that's it. We won't know anything. So thank you for hearing me, and thank you for what you all do.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the public comments and the non-agenda public comments. So we had all the comments at one time. All right, let's move on to the minutes. Could I get a motion to approve the February 2024 regular meeting minutes? Motion made by Finley. Can I get a second?
Second.
You second?
Mm-hmm.
Second made by Cumberland. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Resolution. Motion to adopt Resolution 2024-008, thereby acquiring by donation certain real property for drainage and green space purposes from Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association, Inc.
Move.
Motion made by Cumberland. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Lisi. Any discussion from Cumberland?
No, ma'am.
Lisi?
No.
Marr?
No, ma'am.
Clark?
No, ma'am.
Finley? All right. City Clerk?
Finley?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Marr?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Resolution 2024-062, motion to adopt Resolution 2024-009 to approve a text amendment in accordance with the zoning ordinance Article 2.8 Amendment Rezoning Procedure. The proposed text amendment will make the following change to the Code of Ordinance Appendix A zoning. The text amendment will make the following changes to Article 11, the tree ordinance, Section 11.1, and additional protected trees, and new Section 11.1. Tree protection and new Section 11.12.1 prior to tree removal. The case file number is 2023-00337. Motion?
Move.
Motion made by Cumberland, second.
Second.
Second made by Finley. Discussion, Cumberland?
Yes, Pat, if we make this, go ahead and adopt this now, and you do feel like it needs a little more work, I've heard you say something's better than nothing. Is this better than nothing? Is this a step in the right direction, and then can we continue working on it? Or is it better just to say no and let you have some more time with it?
I was persuaded and came to the realization that we're never going to have a perfect one. It does not exist. It's time to move this forward. I think it makes tremendous progress. I think it addresses so simple answer to your question is I agree that we need to go ahead and pass this now. Ordinances are living documents. They can be changed at any point in time. It's a big step in the right direction. I think we addressed some of the issues that the council had with it last time, said to make it more simple. Well, we've removed all references to heritage, specimens, significant. We're going now with protected trees. Remove the credit retention for retention and the mitigation requirements. So it's more like the old ordinance, and we've put some other things in it. Tree protection, added 6 new trees for a total of 8 protected trees. Added perimeter fencing for the drip line on the construction sites. No activity within that perimeter fencing. Fencing must be completed before a permit is issued. I think that's a big issue there. We've increased penalties. If you do it without a permit, development stops for up to 24 months. And if you want to continue, then you've got to do reforestation of the property. 40% of the property has to be used for trees, and then you can be charged $500 an acre or $1,000 per protected tree. So I believe we've addressed many of the things that at the last time it was before the council, y'all had the problem with it. So I know I leaked the answer, but
That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, Councilman Finley?
No, ma'am.
Councilman Marr?
I like what Jimmy Glass said about if you're looking for the canopy to preserve, then pine trees make up the bulk of all our trees, and we're really not doing much to help the canopy in Diamond Head with this ordinance, are we?
I would disagree. I would say that adding these protected trees to it, that helps do that. Also, I have another note here. Enforcement. Last time we brought this before you, or in the past, we had 3 people to enforce this. We had the building official, we had 1 inspector, and we had a part-time code enforcement officer. Today, we have a building inspector, a building official, 2 inspectors, a development coordinator, and a full-time code enforcement officer. So we went from 3 to 5. So we have more resources to throw at this with the enforcement. And we have implemented no permit without a site plan, no permit without trees marked, and those that will be saved, and they must be verified before they get a permit. And then finally, we've added something else, and this is internally to our department, but we are going to do tree inspections at the final inspection of the house. So before a CO is issued, they will have to meet those number of trees that they were supposed to have. So I say we are, by doing these things, it's not a big dent, no, but it's better than what we were doing.
Okay, Councilman Clark? Councilman Lisi?
Thank you. Okay, I'm also very concerned about the tree canopy.
Yes.
And I've been looking at language in other cities across the country, and they'll address, and so there was not one clear, sentence that kind of summed it up and covered it that we could easily, just add. But I think, it's going to take some more work to get that part done. But one of the things that I saw addressed over and over that I thought was interesting is how many years it would take these trees to mature. How many years until they reach maturity. So when they when they plant, and they're mitigating. I think one tree doesn't equal another tree necessarily, and I just want to make sure that we preserve the canopy. But I think it's a tremendous improvement over last time. So my question is, if we want to add to it, add language about the tree canopy, how easy is that to do? So if we pass this and we want to add that, does it have to go back to P&Z?
Yes.
Okay.
As a text amendment, just as this one is. Now, hopefully it'll be easier than this because we're only adding a portion to it.
Okay. And so we're not able to add language to it right now?
You can add language right now. This is yours to approve.
Okay, where I'm
amend, or
going with
reject.
this is if it's possible to come up with language to protect the tree canopy. I'm wondering, Derek, this might be a question for you. If we could, Derek, okay, I'm sorry. If we could. Okay, sorry, you're multitasking, didn't know. If we could possibly, instead of losing time and sending it back to P&Z and just to get that added, would it be appropriate to consider tabling it for 2 weeks until the next meeting and coming up with that language to add it in and pass it the first time?
You would have to tell me what that language would be, but again, it's up to y'all. I mean, you can amend it.
But that's possible?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to y'all. But this is, whatever language y'all decide to add, but I'm not really sure. We'll just have to talk about what it is that you're looking to add.
Well.
May I make a recommendation? I would recommend that you pass it now so we can get something on the books and start enforcing this. I would also, then you could make a recommendation or call for a motion that adds this, to send this to the council, to the P&Z, to add a tree canopy provision in here. That would be my recommendation.
And you think that would just take one meeting?
One meeting? No, I got to find out what a tree canopy. Part of a tree canopy is determining what you have.
Right.
We don't know that now.
Right. That has to be.
So there's going to be a cost associated with that, and we'll have to spend money to develop a tree canopy.
We just, I guess my fear is that it'll get kicked back to P&Z and it's going to just drag on and on because.
Well, the new, if you were to make, if the council directs us to pursue this, then we'll go full steam ahead. Okay, let's get it done before the rezoning starts.
All right, thank you.
They might be happening at the same time. So my thoughts on it is, I like Jimmy, I had a concern. Why is the holly on there, the American holly? So how was that picked?
That was picked. I went through, Mississippi Forestry provides you with the information. And what I looked for was trees that were native to Hancock County. And that was one of the trees that were native. And so, now, am I 100% committed to that? This is y'all's. If y'all see something on there that you don't want on there, then you can strike it. But I mean, it's a good starting point.
It is. I just had concern about that one because I have like 6 of them and I can cut them down yearly and they're back up high the next year. They're kind of like bamboo.
But they make good fences.
Oh, they do. You won't walk through that holly now, will you?
That's correct.
I actually heard that if you put that behind your fence, in some areas, your insurance can be reduced because you can't go through them.
Right.
They're fun to trim. That was one question I had. And then the tree protection, these are the things that we had going on in Biloxi, so I really love this, doing the silt fence around the drip line of the tree.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a very serious thing. So we have that on there. I like that now. No land clearing permits shall be issued until the perimeter of all protected trees with the silt fencing or fencing put up around the drip line is in place. Another question we had was, and I know you went over it at the P&Z, but still, the tree permit, residents want to be able to know that the permit box includes the tree permit. So we know if somebody looks at the permit box, hey, they did get their tree permit.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not visible, they did not get their tree permit, and it's a Saturday. So is it going to be visible?
Well, most of those permit boxes have a covering on it to
Mhm.
keep it from being rained on, et cetera.
Right.
So the only way it'd be visible is to open the permit box there. So if it's on a Saturday, most of your Saturday stuff doesn't have a permit box out there.
It doesn't have a permit box, you're
Right.
right.
So that should be a dead giveaway. Now, there's
Mhm.
nobody operating on Saturday, but Monday morning, put the call into the code enforcement officer, and we'll jump on it from that point.
Okay. Then the other thing I was looking at, if you accidentally go in and you clear cut, you did not come here and get a permit, the protected trees were not watched, you can't really tell what was there. 24-month, they're denied a permit unless they replenish.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there would have been a greater period where they couldn't come back, so they could immediately come back the next day, theoretically,
Mm-hmm.
and replant the trees where they took them off where they took them off, replant them according to this. They could come the next day, or do they have to? Can they come the next day? They don't have to wait 24 months.
No,
if
it's
they-
24 months or
Replenish the trees.
replant, but you have to come with a reforestation
Mhm.
reforestation plan, and that will take have to cover 40% of the area, and you have to pay $500 per acre, $1,000 per protected tree.
And I would have liked to have seen something like 6 months, sorry, nothing. Nothing. You can't do anything for 6 months. There's no forgiveness. You can't bring trees. And then they would think about it a little bit harder.
Mhm.
That's just my thought on that one. But the rest of it,
Well-
it's so much better than the first.
As I said, it's y'all's ordinance.
Mhm.
So if there's things that the council decides they want to change on it, do it.
Okay. I think we are ready. City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Resolution 2024-065, motion to adopt Resolution 2024-010 to appoint William D. Parrish to the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill the vacant seat that expires in March 2026. I move. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Finley. Any discussion? City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi,
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Consent agenda items 7 through 11. Could I get a motion to approve?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Finley. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Action agenda item 2024-060, motion to remove Canada geese from the cooperative service agreement between the City of Diamond Head and the USDA that states Canada geese can be removed for zoonotic diseases or animal species that are injurious and or a nuisance to, among other things, according to the acts of March 2nd, 1931, a bunch of numbers, amended, and December 22nd, 1987, Public Law Number 100-102-101, and I'm not going to read all the rest, and services provided, Canada geese trapping and carcass disposal. I'm going to move. Can I get a second?
Mayor, point of order, under Robert's rules,
Mhm.
only someone on the prevailing
Oh,
side
they
can
didn't
make
put
the
it on
motion.
here? Okay, it's, okay.
It has to be
Anybody want to
someone that was
move on
the
that?
prevailing side. That's the way we've always done it, so I just want to,
Okay, nobody wants to move? All right, so the geese are still on there. Motion 2024-063, motion to discuss the use of the city's activity center and e-blast system by the city council members.
Move.
Move for discussion, Councilman Finley. Second.
I'll second.
Second, Councilwoman Lisi. We'll start with Finley.
I want to be very succinct. I want the ward meeting to continue in perpetuity. That's my opinion. Any other event at the activity center should follow the rules and regulations of the activity center. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman Finley. Councilwoman Lisi.
Thank you. Okay, so I think, you know, he's got an idea about how to do it. There are no parameters, right, for what we can do. And so I know that we changed the usage rules in December. Can you speak to that a little bit? I think we just need to clean it up because there's confusion.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had to go back and look at the date, but the council approved the change of use policy for the activity center at its meeting on December 19th of 2023. Following that approval, I assisted the administration with revising the contracts, making sure insurance requirements were up to date, and adding fees. Now, when we did that, there was no decision by you, the council members, as to how to apply these new rules with regard to the activity center to you as council members. Honestly, it didn't occur to me at the time to worry about any ward meetings or anything of that nature. So what I would suggest is that the council consider allowing any of you who want to use the activity center for a ward meeting, then you would have that option, but you have to, I think, give yourselves that use, because right now, no council member is approved for that use. And if you're going to give it to one, then you would give it to all. Other than that, I think that hosting meetings to promote anything or signing up to rent the activity center for another purpose, but you as a council member being the person to request the activity center, I think that should probably only be done on a council vote at the direction of the council. Otherwise, you should make those requests and follow the rules that have been set forth pursuant to the approved policy that you all did on December 19th of 2023.
All right. Councilman Cumberland?
Okay. I got a similar story to a lot of you guys. I met the mayor, and she started the Ward 1 meeting years ago, and I thought it was a great idea. Gave her the opportunity for people from Ward 1 to come, tell her what their concerns were. I think it's a great idea. People call me, they send me texts. I try to represent the public in that manner. It's evolved into something a lot different. I can't go to the ward meeting. She can't. I mean, we can't go. It's a public. If more than three of us went, it'd become a public meeting. Is that correct?
correct.
So we don't really get to go to those kind of meetings. It's not televised or recorded like it is in here. So at some point, you're right. We could have our own, and I do. It's right here tonight. And when we have people come and speak, no, you let me finish, please. Okay. So I'm not against the mayor having her meetings. I'm not saying that at all. So I think you're jumping to a conclusion. But having people come to the meeting and them not come here to the city council meeting, that is, I've found that problematic over the past. I think we've kind of gotten over some of that. But another thing is with the e-blast. I don't know how to say this, but if you're using the e-blast, you're using city resources, and if you're putting your logo on the bottom of it, that really fair to someone else that wants to run for mayor? If you've already got that power? I mean, I think that's a valid question, so I think that's something that we have to consider. But I am not against having the ward meetings. I do think they're something that you've been doing for a long time, and I'm okay with it.
Okay. Councilman Marr?
Yeah, I always thought it would be a great thing if different council members were available to have ward meetings for their wards or whatever. I think that should go on forever. That, you know, if there's city business and it's being done by any council person, then that should be allowed free of charge. I did think, and I didn't know the e-blast thing, but I did think that the e-blast was going to be left to pertinent information once or twice a month so as to not abuse the email system. So I would think any e-blast would have to go through the city manager for approval before it could be sent out. But it doesn't make a difference who's sending it, in my opinion, so long as that we're not overloading the emails out to people so that they start turning off the emails.
Okay. Councilman Clark?
I agree with the ward meetings. You know, they should be free to us to host for the information for the residents. The e-blast system, you know, adding the text message system.
I like that.
I think that should, everyone that I
Totally.
spoke to agrees that they would like to do that, and I don't think it would cost too much. I'm not 100% sure. I would have to get with them. So, and even if it was just for, you know, either the council meetings, the zone meetings, the ward meetings, the events that's going on, any emergency that's going on within our city. Not so much the power outages. I had a few people say something about the power outages. That's more a Coast Electric thing, and I think they should reach out and advise their residents on that. But I would like to see some kind of text message system in place moving forward.
I think that's excellent. So my comments on it is, I do the ward meetings because, you know, it's something I started with Ward 1, and it was the residents, and we were like a family. We all lived next door, so we started, you know, having information and learning what was going on, and it was something that I chose to do to be more transparent. And if you know me, if you get my emails, there's nobody more transparent. I send everything. Here it is. What do you want? Here it is. I give it to everybody. The more you learn, the better Diamond Head is. The more open City Hall is to every resident, the better Diamond Head is. So I feel I would love to be able to live stream the ward meetings if that was possible. And having 3 members at a meeting, you know, things that we need to look at, having 3 council members go to even a small group of residents' home and discuss issues, you know, is something we have to monitor and watch as well. So those meetings I don't participate in, but meetings that we have here at City Hall, the city manager's there. He sees everything I say at my ward meetings. You go to them. Thank you. But if we could live stream them, that would be lovely. Can we do that?
Not in the activities.
Can we move them in here? If we left the coffee and donuts in there?
That's going to be up to the council.
Okay, let's do it.
Can we go back around, please?
Okay, Councilman Finley?
And I just wanted to add, there's some confusion, I think, in our form of government. Are you the person who speaks for the city in general? I mean, you're at the ward meetings. I guess this became timely because over the last 2 weeks, I've been getting messaged and called by people who are confused about the maps, who are confused about a lot of things.
Excuse me.
Bye.
Councilman Finley has exited the meeting at 8:37.
But there's confusion, and so how do we avoid that? Who who, I mean, the council's supposed to speak through its minutes, but not very, I mean, this is a great crowd tonight, but not many people are usually here. It is always available on YouTube, but how do we, the city, how do we make sure the city's message is uniform? Because there are lots of different messages going out, and it's confusing.
Could we pause for a moment? The video just went off. It said it cut off a resident. It's a different resident that's watching it. Okay, all right.
So, John, can you speak to that? Or Derek, Melissa, whoever?
Well, I was just going to address briefly what you said, and that is, you started out down a path of asking who speaks, and then you circled back to what I was going to say, which is the council speaks through its minutes. And so if any council member is voicing their opinion, that is simply their opinion. The council speaks through their minutes. And I would just encourage you to always remind constituents that if they want to make sure that they know what the council's position is on something, then they go back and they look at these meetings that are streamed, or they look at the minutes of the meetings. And I did just also want to say, because I think we've gotten a little bit in the weeds here from this discussion, there was never any request for the mayor's ward meetings to no longer be held in the activity center. There was a question with regard to use of the activity center that was not related to a ward meeting. And Mayor, you then questioned if it would apply to ward meetings. But there's not been any assertion by administration to not permit the mayor to use the activity center. So I just want to make sure everything is clear on that.
Well, that's good, because we love the ward meeting. Can we live stream the ward meeting?
Again, I am not the person to deal with. I'm lucky if I make my phone work. So
I'm the same way. If we had it in here, can we live stream it and then everybody knows what we say and it's clear? I would.
The decision on how you all use city resources is up to the council, and that was the whole point of it. If you guys want to, the policy said one thing, but we were doing another. And so the whole impetus of this is let's clean up the policy, make sure it's clear to everybody. So if you guys want to change the way you use City Hall or how you allow each other to use City Hall, that's something you all can decide. Look, Mary, you said you reached out to the Attorney General's office, and that's what they told you. That
is what they said. It is
so you all decide.
They said
so
it's totally up to us. It was perfectly fine, but it was so can we make a motion tonight to allow it to live stream? Okay. Councilman Moore? I mean, I feel it would be more transparent.
How would that work? What would you want to do? Just still have it in there, but then?
No, have it in here.
And I think that's great, but I think there's more to it than that. I mean, Melissa kind of touched on kind of creating some language to outline allowable uses and who's allowed. And so can we move to ask legal to come up with a recommendation, or is that something we need to do? I mean, this was just for discussion.
Right.
So we just need to figure it out.
So, and that would be my recommendation that, as you said, this was just for discussion. Obviously, if the council wants to decide and make a decision that ward meetings will be live streamed, or that the activity center, or I guess this room, the council chambers, will be allowed or permitted use for ward meetings, then the council will need to have to put that on its minutes. And so we may be putting the cart before the horse if we try to vote on that tonight. There might be some parameters that maybe you all need to think about. If it's, I don't know how often you have a ward meeting. If it's once a quarter, and I mean any of you, if it's once a quarter.
It's every third Saturday.
So every third Saturday, I don't know that is what all of you prefer to do for the use of the activity center. But again, the council has to speak through their minutes about how they want to use the activity center.
And I have a question. Who makes it go to YouTube with the not city council, not planning and zoning, but now it would be under the title of ward meeting. And where would that fall on the city's website?
That's,
When you start the video, you can name it what you want. So
So
you
you
would have to
can-
name it that, but somebody would have to be here to do that.
Gotcha.
Okay, and I could probably learn how to do that, but I like that. And Diamond Head Water Sewer District is in here, and theirs is live stream. And the POA uses it, and theirs is live stream. People need to utilize watching the live stream. If you miss a meeting, you've got all that covered right here in City Hall. All those meetings happen right here, and they're live streamed. Okay, if there's no more discussion, we will move on to, could I get a motion to approve payroll payables DKT 231467, DKT 231478 in the amount of $49,487.07, PYPKT 01437 in the amount of $30,066.66, PYPKT 01438 in the amount of $30,368.76, and PYPKT 1439 in the amount of $2,717.76.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Marr, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. Your first motion. Yay! That's an exciting moment. Okay, City Clerk, roll call, please.
Wow. Finley?
He's gone.
Excuse me, that's right. Lisi?
Yes.
Cumberland?
Yes.
Clark?
yes.
Marr?
Yes.
Mayor?
No. Motion to approve docket of claims DKT 231508, DKT 231551 in the amount of $101,859.17. Motion.
Second.
Can I get a motion? You want to be the
I
motion?
thought you motioned.
No, but I can.
Move.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Cumberland. Could I get a second? Go ahead, Clark.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve January 2024 financials. Motion.
Move.
Cumberland, second.
Second.
Lisi, all in favor?
Aye.
Any need for executive session? Motion to adjourn. You do it. It's your honor. Just say yes. You move.
Yes, moved.
Motion made by Councilman Clark, second.
Second. Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor?
Aye.
You all have a wonderful